Shalom Avracha, Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh. This evening we studied together the Haftarah of Parshat Yithro, the weekly section of study this week, taken from chapter 6 of the book of Isaiah, wherein we read in the 6th chapter how Isaiah shies away from certain responsibilities and feels that perhaps he could not really internalize all the messages of God and maybe all the visions that were open to him, because he felt that the people were not on the proper level at the moment to really receive all these messages of God. And he felt that he himself, since he's part of this nation, how could he possibly deserve the visions of the divine? And he uses in our Haftarah, in chapter 6, verse 5 of Isaiah, he speaks about the people of Israel being a people that has a defiled form of speech. I'm reading from Yeshayahu, Perek Vav, Pasuk Hey, and he says about the nation of Israel, Ubetoch am tmei sfatayim, Uvetoch am tmei sfatayim, Anochi Yoshev. I dwell among a people with impure lips. The nation of Israel has impure speech, impure lips. They're an am tmei sfatayim. And immediately after that, there's a vision that's shown Isaiah where God has some angelic force coming, taking some kind of burning coal and purifying his speech, purifying his lips. The rabbis say, how dare you speak about the nation of Israel being impure? Don't you understand that when a leader is about to lead the Jewish people, or a person who's supposed to be eligible to be the leader of the Jewish nation, can't see the people of Israel as being am tmei sfatayim? Even if we do have criticism, and Isaiah, any student of Isaiah knows that there are chapters here where the Jewish people are criticized, can't you figure out a way to see the positive, to see the good in the nation of Israel? And if you can't, then maybe you have to go through some purification process before indeed you can be a leader of Israel. To speak words of the category of am tmei sfatayim, condemning words of the Jewish people, goes against the rule of seeing the good in our holy nation. And according to the Midrash, God explains to Isaiah that this is the downfall of so many of the leaders of our nation in the past. Have you not learned from them? God wants us to see the good, the positive, the upbeat side of the nation. Remember Moshe? Moshe cannot go into Israel. Now, many of us understand the story. It's a complicated story where with the rock and hitting the rock and talking to the rock. According to one reading in the Midrash, you know why Moshe was removed from leadership? It's because he referred to the people in the book of Numbers as Shim'una Hamorim. Listen to me. Now, you rebellious ones. You Hamorim, you people who rebel. You're calling the nation of Israel a rebellious nation? Well, then maybe you lost your understanding of this nation, says God. And therefore, lo taviu et hakahal hazeh. You will not be the ones to lead the Jewish nation to Israel. You can't think of the Jewish nation as a group of morim, as a group of rebellious troublemakers, and be the leader. Do you remember when Eliyahu Hanavi, one of the greatest of all prophets, remember in the book of Kings, Eliyahu appears before God and speaks about how the Jewish nation has forsaken the covenant. Ki azevu britecha b'nei Yisrael. I believe it's in chapter 19 where God says, okay, you think azevu britecha b'nei Yisrael? You think the Jewish nation has forsaken the covenant of God? That's what the leader says about the nation. The leader is supposed to defend the nation. The prophet, the head leader, is supposed to be finding ways to explain mitigating circumstances, to see the good, to see the beauty, to see the loving side, the positive side of the people. You want to say about our nation, Azavu Britecha b'nei Yisrael? Well, if you look in chapter 19 there, in the book of Kings, God instructs Eliyahu as saying, the time has come to appoint a new leader. A new leader. No longer will Eliyahu Hanavi be the leader of the Jewish people, but rather it will be Elisha ben Shaphat. Timshach l'navi tachtecha. Appoint your student, appoint your disciple, Elisha. He will be the prophet. Why can Eliyahu Hanavi no longer be the prophet? Because you cannot be the prophet of this nation if you think of them as Azavu Britcha, as forsaking the covenant. And therefore God says to Yeshayahu, if you really want to know how to be a leader, I'm going to teach you. Chapter 6, according to some, it seems from the text, is the initiation of Yeshayahu into the prophecy, into the world of prophecy. Even though it's chapter 6, there's a whole discussion about why it's chapter 6 and not chapter 1. But I will now instruct you, I will now lead you into the pathway of righteousness that will guide you to the proper way of being a leader. You must always find positive defenses for the Jewish nation. Even if they are acting in ways which are somewhat inappropriate, explain these ways. Defend the people. Don't condemn the people. And later on in the book, we find in the 50th chapter where God instructs Yeshayahu, and he says, the Midrash says that when Yeshayahu was involved in this inappropriate form of speech, God taught him that the proper way is to matzdik it Israel. When he took that burning coal and he said, Hinei nagazeh al sfatecha, now you have this burning coal, which is some kind of sensation of purification. Now you will learn the proper way of speech. I don't know if you understand these things literally. This is a prophetic vision, right? In other words, I will teach you how to speak properly. I will remove from you these impurities of speech. I will remove from you the fact that you view the nation as being impure in the way they speak. And now you will start speaking words of positive nature. So what does he do? Kevan shera'a Yeshayahu came. When Isaiah began internalizing the message of God, he starts speaking words that are proper words, that are positive words about the Jewish nation. And if you look in chapter 50, he speaks about how Hashem Elokim Natan li lishon limudim. God has granted me a tongue for teaching, a tongue for instruction, a tongue of understanding, which the rabbis understand means a tongue that will speak the words of defense of the Jewish nation, in contradistinction to that which it says here in chapter 6. And in several places in the Bible, we find the leaders of the nation, especially those who are successful at certain points, to be the ones who are defending the people rather than putting them down. For instance, in chapter 6 of the book of Judges, we read about the great judge Gideon. And Gideon was visited by an angel of God at a time when the Jewish nation was unfortunately involved in forms of wickedness and evil in the eyes of God. And it's at that point that they were being attacked by the Midianites. So Gideon, who was very righteous and ultimately became the judge of Israel, is visited by this angel. I'm reading from chapter 6, verse 12 of Judges. And the angel says to him, God is with you. God is with you, you distinguished person. And Gideon says, God is with us? And he starts defending the Jewish people. Of course, he doesn't justify doing evil, but he says, really? Where is God? Vayomer love Gideon, chapter 6, verse 13 of Judges. Excuse me, my master. V'yesh Hashem imanu? Is God really with us? So why are we going through so much suffering? Vayei kol niflotav asher sipiru lanu avotenu. Why? Where are all the wonders and the signs and the miracles? We don't see those wonders. We don't see those signs. God took us out of Egypt, but where is God now? We feel forsaken. God has left us, forsaken us. He defends the Jewish people. The people were doing the wrong kinds of things. But Gideon somehow sees a way of saying positive things about the nation of Israel. Like it's not their fault They don't see the revelation. They don't see God. They don't see the defense of the nation. And a very, very fascinating sentence there. If you look at sentence 14 of Judges 6, God turns to Gideon and says, Lech bechochacha zeh v'hoshata et Yisrael. Go with this power, with the power that you've just expressed, and save the Jewish people. So the rabbi said, what power? What power did he express? He expressed the great understanding, the great level of excellence to defend the Jewish nation. A leader of the Jewish people who could speak words of defense, even when the Jewish people are not acting on the highest level of proper behavior. That's the kind of person who could bring the ultimate salvation. Lech b'chochacha zeh. In the language of the rabbis, b'choach hazchut hazeh. Shalimartos anegorya b'nai. You spoke words of defense about the nation of Israel. So ultimately, Isaiah, speaking initially about Am Tamei Sfatayim, a nation which is so full of sin. Tamei Sfatayim, they have impure lips. Some of the most beautiful words about the Jewish nation are the words that emerge from the prophecy of Isaiah. I think three of the most beautiful descriptive words about our nation are found in the 60th chapter of Yeshayahu. And one can see that perhaps as a tikkun, a spiritual rectification for that which he said earlier. Isaiah in chapter 60, verse 21 of his book, he says, Va'amech kulam tzadikim. Your nation, they're all tzadikim, they're all righteous. So the process that Yeshayahu goes through this purification, Va'amech kulam tzadikim, all the people of Israel, all the entire nation is really righteous. Hopefully each of us, in his or her own way, can see the nation, the righteous side of the nation. Yes, we could find that which is wrong. We could look for that which is not good. We could look for that which is dark. But maybe that's not the right way to do it. Rav Kook always said that the truly righteous people are not the ones who are always complaining about how wicked certain things or certain people are. They're just always adding righteousness. They're not the ones who are complaining about how bitter certain circumstances are. They're speaking about the sweetness. They're not speaking about how dark certain areas are, but they're just increasing the light. The Yeshayahu lesson is, don't speak about the nation of Israel as being an Am Tamei Sfatayim, but rather find the way to speak about them as Va'amech Kulam Tzadikim. Thank you so much for listening.